Welcome to Hermit Woods, where there's a story in every bottle. That's it?
Maybe.
Hey, we're live.
That's it.
We're live.
We're live.
Bit of a different lineup.
Different lineup here.
Yep.
I kind of like this. It's a new scene.
And
Look
maybe
at
a
that.
slightly different configuration of chords. Can everybody hear us?
Hopefully that's the case.
Can we hear? Can we hear?
Marika's got her fingers crossed. We're hoping people can hear us. Can you hear us? Chime in, yes or no. I know
think so.
I saw Janice and
It says people
Christina are on,
here.
so hopefully they can hear us.
Let's see.
Oh, good.
Christine says yes. Randy says no. That's
Oh, interesting. Some can hear us, some can't.
that's odd.
Or the answering to different questions.
Maybe.
That's can be the problem
Okay,
sometimes.
Janice says audio is fine. So we've got two
Very good.
yeses. Welcome everybody.
Welcome everyone.
Howdy.
Bob's
This
looking
is
a
our
little funny
Facebook
today.
Live. We Bob is not here. Bob's
I don't actually
I'm
know
here.
where Bob is. I just know that
he's
away.
down East Main in the
I'm here.
Dharmascotta
Hey,
River.
I'm here. Wait.
Probably on a
don't rule
boat
me
or a
out.
kayak or at a bar
Well,
having dinner.
something like
Let's
that.
see.
There he
Oh, wait.
is.
Maybe we can find out exactly where he is. He's having a beer.
I can't hear Bob. I'm not sure if the
You
audio.
can't hear me?
I can't.
I can't hear him either.
That's
But
not
he does
good.
look like he's got a nice beer and a nice background.
Cheers, Bob.
Cheers. I don't know why you can't hear me.
Yeah, so Bob is off on a little mini vacay, and Travis has stepped in to fill the gap for a little bit here, and is going to turn us on to some of his culinary achievements and activities in the eatery. I'm going to skip all of Bob's normal preamble starting off. He could chime in, but we can't hear him.
That's true. So I
He
guess
could point the
the
I don't know
finger.
why.
hear Bob, but we can't.
Oh,
This happened last time.
I
What's
think if
going
I
on?
don't know why.
That's
Edit
interesting.
mic settings.
Let's see if we can hear him.
No.
We're working on the technology here in
If
Bob's
I
absence.
Go to here, audio.
Do you know what it is? I know what it is.
Nope. All right. Well, the audience can hear Bob. So,
Yeah.
Bob, could you give the audience our opening preamble?
Yes, of course. Well, if you can see me now, that's because you should look
Yeah,
right
Jason's
down
doing
there
that part.
Yep.
to subscribe to our YouTube
This is kind of fun. I
channel
can't
right
hear him.
there.
Like and subscribe.
You right there, YouTube.
Press the button.
And if you're on Facebook, there's a little bell. Click that bell. So nobody can hear me, but they could see.
Everybody push the button so you get noticed when we're going on Facebook Live.
All right, we're
There
back,
you go.
back to us.
All right. All right.
So yeah.
So
since
Travis,
Bob's not
tell us
around-
about the
Travis.
activities that you've been involved with and some of the specials and various other things that you have for us tonight.
So as everyone knows, we transitioned from a deli to an eatery, which means not really so much moving away from deli-ish things, but complementing and adding new things that are more along the lines of eatery.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. So we make homemade pizza, and this is a special we ran this weekend. It is...
That seemed very popular. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, so I'm glad we're trying that this evening.
Okay. So it is a marinara base that we make in-house. It's cheddar cheese. This weekend we ran it with prosciutto, but we've changed it up to copa. Copa is like, it's similar to prosciutto. It's a little different, but it obviously still comes from the pig. And then we have blue cheese. So it's kind of like
blue cheese on it.
Yeah, there's blue cheese on that. Hope you like blue cheese. Oh,
All right, I gotta try this.
okay.
I think our pizza specials this summer have been so fantastic.
And then this week I transitioned from
Wow.
the pizza special. So we've been going back and forth between non-flatbreads and like pizza specials. So this week we actually did one on non as a flatbread, and we did a pizza of the week. So pizza of the week we'll just kind of rotate in different pizza ideas so that, more people can learn about how we're doing pizza here. So, and then to our left, we eat charcuterie here. We've done charcuterie. We've never talked about it in detail and what we actually have to offer and what is available at Hermit Woods.
Great.
So
Great.
that's what's to our left. So
This is a very good pizza.
It's a great pizza. I think, ever since you switched to doing a lot of your own made crust, hand-tossed crust, people have really appreciated the difference. I've had, people sitting here eating and pull me over and say, this is one of the best pizzas I've ever had before.
Can you hear me now?
yeah, we're working on it.
It's interesting. It's not like I wouldn't know what to call it as a theme. Like it doesn't have it's not a known pizza.
Can you hear me,
but
Marika?
everything still works, if that makes sense. Like it's,
Right.
I wouldn't know what to call it, but
And I think that's really popular now. More and more people are exploring different flavor combinations in all sorts of foods and drinks.
Yeah.
That this fits up beautifully because as long as you have balance to the food, if you're crunching on a little piece of kale or an onion or a copa or some blue cheese, doesn't really matter as long as it all goes together.
Right. So, the balsamic fig flatbread that we do, it's
Really popular.
really popular, and it's not a known flavor profile that goes together. It was made here, and obviously we've done prosciutto on boards, and then obviously you have the fig jam, so you start to figure out flavors that go together, and then you just start messing around and obviously tasting things similar to wine and just figuring out what works. So it's kind of where these things sprout up from.
That's great. Do some of the pizzas vary because of what's available out of Ward's Farm or something like that? If you get a bunch of fresh tomatoes or onions or whatever you might get, does that change it a bit for you?
It changes a little bit. Obviously, we still use Fortuna, so the Copa comes from Fortuna. The blue cheese is something we've always had since I've been here. And then the cheddar is the aged Harmons. So it's about taking things that we have had since I've started and that we continuously have, and then adding different aspects of, like you're saying, coming from the farm or coming from the farms that we use. So
Yeah, I do that. I'm not a chef, but I do that at home sometimes. If I'm, take a frozen pizza out of the freezer and then go out in the garden and pick cherry tomatoes and arugula or whatever else and dress it up.
yeah.
And it's nice when you have stuff that's fresh that you can add onto it.
So
That's great.
yeah, I go to, you can see the Instagram post sometimes. I'm at Picnic Rock like 3 times a week or more. And then we get a delivery every week from Beans and Greens. So
Good.
4 or 5 days a week.
Excellent.
Something's coming from the farm. So
So the bottom line is everybody who comes here is going to get fresh local food every time.
yeah, so we're striving to be as farm to table and local
That's
as close as we
Farm to
can.
table and farm to can.
Farm to can.
well, that's the theme on this wonderful can design that Deb did for us on our cranberry hard cider. I'm going to switch to my other camera to show it off. I'm sure most of you have seen it by now, but let's see. We switch to here.
There we go.
The finest fruit from orchard to bog. So we got our hermit picking his lovely apples and tumbling down into the cranberry bog. Yeah, farm
Excellent.
can.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we weren't sure what Travis was going to be showing us tonight until we got here, and so we weren't sure what to drink. So we figured cider was just kind of an easy.
Yeah.
Easy
Cider
bet.
goes with most things.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
It was either cider or rosé, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the rosé goes really well.
We'll always take a cider. Pairs.
Although I wanted a break from rosé. I've been filtering rosé all day long. That's what Noah and I were doing.
That's what's
so
happening down there.
it was good to have a break.
You can
We got
tell
to finish it tomorrow, so it's a 2-day process this time.
you've got the lake house white that you put together last week, right?
That's fermenting
The
right
whole,
now. Yeah,
the
that's
whole
going really
cellar
nicely.
it smells fermenting down there.
We have 6 different ferments going simultaneously right now. So it's very, very busy time.
So how do you, because I don't know this process, but how do you go about the process of knowing which wines to start and when to start them so that you will one will run out or whatever it may happen. So you go into the next one.
It's mostly, it's set in motion by whatever's coming ripe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Rose hips happen, peaches happen.
Yep.
So then I got to ferment those.
Right. Yep.
But then the volumes that we produce is sort of dictated by how much we tend to sell.
Mm.
So we want to make sure that we scale it right. Same thing, you don't want to buy more cheese than you're going to sell within the next week or two.
Sure.
So you kind of ride that same balance.
Yeah, makes sense.
Same thing.
Makes sense.
All right, so you have a whole bunch of things to show us here.
Yeah,
we've been enjoying your charcuterie boards for years, and on the show in particular. And Rika and Bob and I just dig in. It all tastes so fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I've always wanted to know in more detail about the components. So this is great. If you can walk us through and describe these
some of
different
the best
pieces.
things on there.
Sure. So we can start from the top, and because these 2 cheeses actually are kind of newer since I got here. So the top
Let's
one.
switch
When you slide it into the middle,
Switch.
and it might
Work.
if you slide it this.
Hey.
Oh, I think we can hear Bob.
Hey, we can hear Bob now.
Wait a second.
You can hear me.
Hi, Bob.
Yes?
Nope.
Am I there?
That was me.
Oh, that was Travis.
Apple Watch.
Oh.
Me and Bob both have Apple Watches.
I can see Bob better now, but I still can't hear him.
Shoot.
He looks different.
Hello, come on. What's going on?
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Rika's trying to figure it out.
So
If we can get a description of these different components and we can try
so on the
them.
top here you have cave-aged Willoughby from Jasper Hill, which is in Vermont. And I've been hearing some things around, maybe getting email chains, whatever, about Vermont being the Napa of cheese.
The Napa of cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet that somebody that's in marketing is all over that, right?
So I saw this the other day and I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. So we have cave-aged Willoughby from Jasper Hill, and Jasper Hill does a ton of different cheeses. This is a
So what's
like
Willoughby?
Willoughby it's similar to Brie, except for it has a scrubbed rind. You know how Brie has that white rind around it? This is a washed rind, so they washed the rind off.
Oh.
Yep. And then it's aged in a cave because Jasper Hill is a cave, like in Vermont, aging cheeses.
Must be over on the western side of Vermont. They've got marble through there that erodes into caves.
So that's what they're doing at Jasper Hill. And then this top one is an aged Gouda. And that
Which is really, an interesting concept. I never hear of aged Gouda.
Yeah, they smoke Gouda, they age Gouda. It's like they take cheese and they just kind of do what you're doing with wine and just try to have fun, and then things like this happen.
It's so different to me because aged Gouda is a kind of mild. Smoked Gouda is usually kind of creamy and pretty mild, even though the smokiness is usually quite prominent. But that compared to this they're completely different. An aged Gouda like this it's very sharp. It's almost like Parmesan-y in its texture.
All right, before you go to that, I'm going to try this washed rind.
I don't think I've ever actually thought about or understood the process of a washed rind versus a regular rind.
Yeah.
But I can picture, the way the outside of Brie is almost like soft and kind of fuzzy.
It's
And I
got
guess
that
if you did
chalky,
kind of
powdery.
wash it, I can see how
It would be like this.
Yep.
I wonder what the cave. I wonder if they take some and age it in a cave, and they take the same batch and split it and put some in a closet or on the top of a house, or out with a lawnmower, just to see what sort of flavors you might get with that.
Yeah. It would
A
be.
cave sounds much better than
Yeah.
out with a lawnmower.
I think that at some point, I think we should take a trip to Jasper Hill and see what this cave looks like.
That would be
Because it's a very interesting cheese, and I talked to my reps from Black River, where we get most of the cheese from,
Mhm.
is like, what's the new funky cheese you got going on? What do you have kind of going on that's a little off the beaten path? Because yeah, we're in Meredith, New Hampshire, but we want local, and we want something that's a little different than
everybody
we
seems
have.
to be wanting something different like that. So that's really good that we can share that with people.
Yeah. So we, like I said, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cheeses, and I think we have like 12. So it's only half the amount of cheese we have down in the deli case. Yep.
Wow.
So it's
Well, that Willoughby is great cheese.
So, and then that Willoughby is similar to Brie, and it pairs well with this as well. The Thai hot pepper spread that we get from
Now you
Ross.
tell me after I ate it all, so that's no good.
I've had enough of this today.
Matt's mentioning beer washed brie being especially
Beer
good.
washed.
I don't know if I've had beer washed brie. I've definitely had beer aged, like beer cheddar, I think.
I wonder if we could take like the leftover must after you press it from making a wine and do something with that to enhance the cheese.
I don't know.
Mm.
So, and then we keep going down the line here, and this is where we're getting to Fortuna, which is based out of Vermont. So we have a Calabrese, which is a kind of spicier cheese, spicier salami, not
That's a
cheese.
cool looking cheese right there.
So you want to try that?
Is this Fortuna?
This is Fortuna,
Fortuna
yeah.
as well.
So this is something I brought in recently. It was a different shape the first time I got it. It was like long and skinny. Now we have like these bigger log things. So they changed packaging, or they changed size. Same product, but a little different
You
size.
slice it thin by hand.
So we
cut
do
it
a little
again
bit of
into
both.
smaller pieces, or how do you handle this?
We do a
one?
little bit of both. So we have obviously a slicer that Matt got us, that he brought here. So we use that like on busy weekends. We really slice it, and then sometimes it depends on the salami really. So sometimes we hand cut them, sometimes we use the slicer. It's kind of, obviously this one's used on our actual slicer in the back, and then some of these are on the front slicer that we have right in the kitchen. So
That spicy one's interesting. It's got that interesting, I don't know how to describe it.
There's almost like a pepperoni oily.
Yeah, it's like a creaminess that kind of coats it's the fat on it is like,
Yeah.
it's strange. That's good.
So yeah, and then the next one is the one that Bob really likes. I don't think you even had yet.
Bob up here is just going to feature Bob's camera for a minute. I'm not sure what happened to him, but the camera is now just
I think he
pointed
fell
up.
off the dock.
Bob fell off the dock.
Oh, there he
too much
is.
I'm
beer.
here.
Nah, he's just hiding things. We can't.
He was
hear him
looking for
whenever
another
he
beer, maybe.
Probably. I'll go
No.
back to it.
Wait, is this a truffle? Which one is it?
Can you hear me?
Parmesan.
No?
Is that the
Hello?
Parmesan one? Did I not cut the right one?
Parmesan.
I'm pretty sure I cut the right one.
Or is that one the Parmesan? I think this might just be Finocchione.
The small one isn't Finocchione. Hold on. 1 second.
This
Doesn't
is
taste like Parmesan.
Nope,
to
that's
me.
the truffle one. Sorry.
It is truffle.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the truffle one.
It's reminiscent of a truffle to
Yeah.
me. Because I
So
know we have a truffle cheese or have in the past. And
yeah, so with Grafton, because I was from Grafton, so Grafton was having huge supply chain issues, and that's why we had to switch to 5 generations cheddar and other different cheeses, because
Grafton couldn't keep up.
Grafton cut SKUs because of COVID and labor issues and whatever that happened. So
Yep.
so yes, that's the tartufo, the truffle salami. that we've had for a long time here.
Mm-hmm.
So then
I've always found that one difficult to pair with wine. There's this earthy funk that comes with truffles
right.
that is sort of hard to pair. Maybe you could try with Deep Blue Reserve or something that's more port-like, and maybe even the high alcohol blackberry mead would go well with that truffle salami, because it's very bold and it's got a lot of sort of persistent aromatics that have to pair up just right.
Did you
with
know
wine.
that we're actually on the same, I don't even know how to, you'd know this, latitude as where they grow truffles?
Yes.
So, but no one's ever found truffles in New England.
They're downwind of the Atlantic and we're downwind of Colorado. So our microclimate's different.
That would make sense.
It all matters what's upwind. Same latitude, but your weather changes.
Yep. So that's why we can't find truffles in New Hampshire.
Right. We have black trumpet mushrooms, though. Those are good.
Yeah.
Not the same as truffles, but.
All right. So then we have two cheeses, both Wensordale. So Wensordale is similar to a cheddar. It's a little different.
Is this out of the Napa of the East?
This is all out of the Napa.
This is all out of the Napa of the East.
Yep.
Wow. So we couldn't figure it out with grapes.
Yes.
Couldn't compete with Napa on the grape front, but Vermont says they're competing with the Napa in the cheese world.
So they essentially, like I said, it's only been through emails and different things I've seen, but it's that they kind of run the cheese market and do such amazing things, because this is only a small, like 10,000 foot view of what the cheese is in Vermont. So
we're doing some PBR.
I think we need at least a splash of something red.
A splash of something red to go with
especially with some of the heavier cheeses and with these next couple cheeses that Chaps is going to share with us.
good looking out.
Marika's good at that.
Ooh, Matt wants to know if there will be any charcuterie classes with Travis. We do have one on the books already, another 603 charcuterie class for November.
In November?
Yeah. So we have
Those seem really popular.
Yeah.
They have been, yeah.
So 603 charcuterie comes in and she does an amazing job. So this is just what we do here. And I think we're doing pretty well.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome stuff. I mean, it's not how many pretty shapes you make out of the cheese, in my opinion, if that's aesthetically pleasing, but it's really the quality of the cheese or the meats or the breads that go on the board that make it. You need the whole package, but it's really, you can get away with less of the glitz and fancy little, shapes and get away with it when you have really good quality of ingredients.
I think one of the important parts about a charcuterie board that I think doesn't always get talked about is it's not, you want the high quality ingredients and you want to arrange it pretty, but you also, where you put it on the board matters, because if you're using different spreads or different fruits, not every spread goes with every fruit, not every cheese goes with every meat. And so putting the right things right next to each other is a whole sort of
art on its own.
Whole art, yeah.
Yep.
Like I think you mentioned earlier when we were on the Willoughby, like we usually put that on the board with the Thai hot pepper jelly, and it's right on top of it, so you
then people know.
Then people know.
Oh, those are supposed to go together.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah, these two are my favorite. I guess it's great. So we've got the cranberry cider that we could have with the cranberry Wensordale.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe blueberry wine with the blueberry.
Yep. So, and then the bread you're actually eating is actually from Beans and Greens as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Beans and Greens, we use them for, oh goodness.
One down.
We use those. That's why I brought an extra. Oh, wow.
Sorry.
But so we have Beans and Greens. So we obviously get produce from them. We get local meats from them, and we get bread. So we get ciabatta from them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ciabatta cut from Beans and Greens into a crostini.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So on to the next cheese.
On to the next cheese.
So this is cranberry Wensordale. So let's do this. This is a white wine cracker from Jack's Crackers out of Keene, New Hampshire. So take that.
Thank you.
This one.
There's not a lot of cranberry in this piece. Yeah.
You mean like that piece?
What? No.
So yeah, so this
It's a drier cheese.
is also out of Vermont because that's again
The
Napa
Napa.
of cheese.
Right.
So and then you're gonna want to do this with this or with that. This has cranberries in it, and this has cranberry.
So what I remember finding when we were putting together our wine and cheese pairing for the wine and cheese tasting you could do, where we did a special event over the winter as well, that the blueberry Winterdale certainly worked with Petit Glue, but I almost liked the cranberry better. It's almost like overkill to do a blueberry cheese with the blueberry wine, but doing the cranberry was just
Yeah, that is nice. The cranberry,
but
the cider,
cranberry
the
is really
cider
good.
doesn't go as well to me with the cheese as the red wine does, with the Petit Blue Reserve.
So then onto a similar cheese, but this one is blueberry instead of cranberry.
Same sort of base cheese, you think?
Yeah. It's a Wensleydale, except for it has obviously cranberry instead of blueberry. So it's pretty much the same cheese. They just put blueberries in it instead of cranberries. Oh my God. Goodness
Thank you.
gracious. So then you would think that this would go with
Mm-hmm.
a blueberry
It
one.
definitely does.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice because you get the aroma coming through on the cheese, and then you go and you stick your nose in the glass and you get that similar aroma of those blueberries, so they harmonize nicely.
Cranberry works.
Works with the cranberry too?
But I think this cranberry goes anyway, so.
And then
So now these cheeses and these meats you put on your main charcuterie board every time, or does it change?
so it changes a little bit. Obviously, like I said, we have like 13 or 12 cheeses, so it just changes out every once in a while. So like we'll always do a Willoughby or a Brie because they're both rind cheeses.
Mm-hmm.
We'll always do a cheddar because cheddar is a simple cheese that everyone knows. And then we'll do a Wensleydale. We have a Tilsit over here. So I mean, it's about, we have two things that say similar style stay, and we kind of rotate in. The Gouda goes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about adding a third cheese that kind of rotates in and out.
So when someone comes in here, when they order up a charcuterie, is it explained to them what's on it? Is it, do they know which cheeses as they sit down to have it? Because if it's changing a little bit, how do people know what they're getting?
So the servers, so when we bring them out, then the servers come back and say, hey, what was on that board that people have been asking? So we don't have cards every single time.
Okay.
But when people ask, we just be like, this is what's on today.
I
Great.
think the servers have gotten pretty good too about they can recognize especially a lot
Yeah,
of the
Great.
common ones.
Excellent.
Yep.
That's this mustard or that's that cheese, and if they're
Yeah.
not sure, because especially some of the salamis look pretty similar,
Mhm.
so you can always run back to the kitchen, double check
Mm-hmm.
which one is going on at any given time. And it is great because the people can then come into the shop and we have pretty much everything that goes on the boards available, so people can come in and grab their favorite and bring it home and make the
That's
board
nice.
themselves.
Yeah, that works out really well.
I love Mondays. Mondays are so great. Ooh,
Mondays are good.
got a few comments. Let's see. Yeah, Matt says he knows the 603 charcuterie, but he does love it. Yeah, that we get the union of wine and food at Hermit Woods. Bob is suggesting that you should announce your next charcuterie class and that you can do it. Matt loves that. Yeah, you can buy the combos and replicate. He also says, don't shy away from salted herring with your hardiest wines. We did. Now, this was before I started even, Ken, but I know in the early days of the deli, we had a sea cooterie
We did.
board.
We had a sea cutery
And
board.
I think it's been mentioned again since then, but I don't know what was actually
We
on
had
it.
smoked salmon. We had smoked oysters, smoked mussels. We had some strong, bold cheeses that went along with those, some breads and crackers. But it was another notch up cost-wise for the ingredients that were there, and we're sourcing out of the Napa of seafood that would be Maine, as opposed to the Napa of cheese, which is Vermont. and it was, I mean, I thought it was a nice sort of unique place, because you go to a lot of places these days and you get a charcuterie, and but it's rare that you see a sea cuterie
Yeah, it's something different.
with that seafood. But it was a whole nother thing to manage, and we had oysters that went bad and mussels that went bad, and they just didn't get used up, and so it's a timing issue.
It has to
all
be
that.
very fresh.
You gotta know how much you're gonna move and be able to order it and make it happen.
Especially trying to do mussels and oysters, doing more like smoked salmon or pickled herring and things like that. Those are a little easier because they're canned or pickled or cured, so they're a little more shelf stable than the fresh stuff. But I feel like
it'd be like trying to do oysters on the half shell or something. You gotta prep for it and plan for it.
Maybe a summer special.
Make it happen. When's that happening?
Next summer, maybe next summer.
When we have martinis here, right, Bob? I didn't say that. All right, what's next?
All right, so the next one is a hot sopressata.
I don't think I've had this one yet. Hot. It's usually, we usually got the sweet sopressata.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So yeah, this is a little different.
It's not as hot though.
No, it's not that spicy.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that though.
The calabrese is spicier than this.
And the soupy. That one is more like
the
a classic pepperoni.
Yeah, very strong. This is nice.
I think I like this one more than the calabrese.
And then
that doesn't really go with the Petite Blue Reserve.
Nope, doesn't work.
No.
And then, just like on the pizza, so we actually put this on boards as well, just the straight copa.
Oh. So how do you slice it up or tear it up to put it on the pizza, or?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty thin.
It's really thin.
It's pretty thin, so it's like a one,
almost like a prosciutto.
Back to this camera so I can.
Like a one pull.
Nice and thin.
Yeah.
It's fun doing this sort of meat in addition to the other sort of more hard salamis.
Yeah,
it's got a great
it's just a different sort of texture.
Black pepper aromatic to it.
So, and I've thought about other ideas of this kind of sliced meat, because Fortuna has it, and Vermont Salumi both have a whole muscle meat, sliceable meat like this. That's a little different than this, but the problem with Vermont Salumi is that they can't keep it in stock, and they have then the one with Fortuna is that I wanted to see how this went before we jumped into other things. So.
Oh yeah, Matt mentions prosciutto, feta, and 3 honey. Sounds a little similar. So earlier today we were doing some test runs of some potential fall menus, and this was making a feature with some honey and goat cheese, which was a fantastic combination. And I agree with Matt that would definitely be a mead.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for here. I was thinking a nice white wine with 3 honey or Meredith Bay White would go well with some of this, just to balance all of the flavor. Just cleanse the palate and wash it down nicely.
Yeah. And then we have next is 5 generations.
5 generations.
Cheddar.
It's the sharp. Okay.
Is this from Napa as well?
Yeah.
So actually, here's my question.
Yes.
If anybody knows, I've tried to do taste comparisons, but I haven't had the good direct comparison. New York extra sharp cheddar versus Vermont extra sharp cheddar. Is there actually a stylistic difference? Do either of you actually know this? I see them at the store, or they'll say like New York extra sharp cheddar versus just sharp cheddar, and you get most cheddar brands, whether it's, I suppose Cabot wouldn't do this, no, but
There must
like
be
the
there must
Market
be a
Basket
sense
brand
of
cheddar is they have sharp, extra sharp, and New York sharp. But I don't know if the New York sharp is sharper than the extra sharp or somewhere in the middle. I don't know how New York sharp compares to Vermont sharp.
I haven't thought about this, but I bet there's some sort of terroir to cheeses that way, that the microbes, the milk, the cheese that gets developed is all influenced by its environment. So you get a slightly different flavor profile that's set to that area. So it doesn't fall along those political boundaries exactly, but they're going to call it New York, they're going to call it Vermont or Wisconsin. They're going to come up with these places that have these distinct flavors, and they'll be able to, talk about that because it's different. It does taste different than the regular block of cheddar cheese from the supermarket, which is like the average of all of them or something.
And I wonder too, I know Hannaford in particular is always good about being pretty local. That's one of the things we talked about with Mochi's a couple of weeks ago, that they buy the Hannaford brand milk because they know that their milk they come from local farmers.
Right.
And I think Market Basket would maybe be similar in that probably most of their sort of Market Basket brand milk comes from Vermont and New York, and maybe the New York sharp cheddar comes from all New York farms. But it would be interesting to learn about that, or to do it direct
Side by side.
I definitely remember at one point doing. A friend brought a couple of different cheddars and wanted us to taste, and I think it was like the Cabot Seriously Sharp versus the just generic brand, and but that was in a way a good thing because it sort of shows that even the local grocery stores are still making good sharp cheeses from local.
Have either of you guys ever made cheese? You ever?
Once growing up, I remember trying it with my mom, making some mustard.
I never have.
I think we just
I've
did
had some
mozzarella.
friends do that, and it looks like a great process to follow through. How about kombucha?
I haven't, so I wish we could hear Bob, because Bob, that's why this came up
I
earlier.
know,
Bob was visiting a kombucha spot and was talking about some alcoholic kombucha, and I think of it as being, in a way, it's one of the possibly easier things to do home brewing wise. Like I think a lot of people that start brewing
my wife makes kombucha all the time. So she and I drink it almost every day.
The stuff that Maya makes?
Yep.
Oh.
Maya makes kombucha nonstop.
Would Maya ever come on Facebook Live?
Talk about kombucha?
Talk about kombucha?
We'll have to ask.
You should ask.
Yeah.
I don't know if she would be willing.
It's really cool. She's always got different stuff going on, and then if we have blackberries ripe or elderberries or whatever, there's different stuff, and she flavors her kombucha with that.
Yeah.
And
that would be a fun show.
As far as I know, for the alcoholic versions of kombucha, you do it in sort of a two-stage format, because there is some in the complex organism that converts the sugars in with the tea into the kombucha. There is some of the critters, Saccharomyces, that converts the sugar into alcohol. And so normal kombucha's got a 0.25% or 0.5% of alcohol in with it, but a lots of other stuff. So to make alcoholic ones, usually you go through a secondary fermentation specifically to create alcohol. So it's at that point, it's almost like making wine.
Most of it has just. I remember we got samples from I think a New Hampshire-based company earlier in the year that it was tasty, some of it, but it was tough because it was very, very, very low alcohol, but it was just high enough that you did have to be 21 to purchase it.
Oh.
And so it was tough because it didn't quite fit in well with our drink offerings, because we could use some more drink offerings that are non-alcoholic for people that aren't looking to drink at all. But
these would be low alcoholic.
It was low alcoholic, but still just alcoholic enough that it probably wouldn't quite fill that need. But it's interesting, like where does that line get drawn?
Yeah, so I guess Bob had a good alcoholic kombucha and is excited about that.
Yeah, he commented, kombucha at around 6 or 7% was awesome.
Yeah.
He was at Maine Booch Brewing.
Maine Booch. Yep.
We had some one place that I don't think you've been to, Ken. And I feel like you need to the Urban Farm Fermentery in Portland.
I've been there.
You have been there.
Yes,
now,
I have
okay.
been there. Yep.
Yeah,
Maya and I went
that
there.
place is so fun because they do. I think they do their own beer and they do some kombucha.
They do
and
some
they do
ciders
June,
and they do
which
some
was
meads.
like kombucha. It was related. I don't remember. Maybe it was like fermented tea or
They
something.
do a green tea,
Yeah.
which is different than a black tea type of kombucha.
And mead. They just did a little bit of everything. And they were really great about getting all local things. When I was there, maybe I don't know if they do this anymore because they've gotten bigger, but they had a chalkboard up on the wall that said, "We need thyme," or "We want lavender," and anybody from their own home farm could
Come in
contribute.
and
Kind of like
bring
what we used to do with our hermit shares.
I need to do that. I need to have a blackboard out front.
Yeah.
I need rose hips. I need peaches.
Yep.
And see what people will come up with.
Well, that's what the hermit shares program was
Yeah,
early
that's right.
on, right?
That's
yeah,
right.
people that could contribute a little bit to the wine would get a little. Yeah, that worked out well.
All right, what's next?
So
This board just keeps going.
this board just keeps going. I tried to just put a few things on here, but obviously a few things was a few things.
Oh, we had a good comment. Bob reminded us too the Harmon's cheese. So they do the packaging. They might do some of the aging, but most of their cheese comes. It is New York cheese.
Oh, really?
It's a New Hampshire-based company, but they get most of their cheese from New York.
Hmm.
So that Harmon's fantastic aged cheddar is a New York cheddar.
Is the New York cheddar.
Okay, so what's next?
So the next one is a Tilsit out of Napa.
Out of Napa again. All right.
So this is in my opinion, a very mild cheese. It's no sharpness. It's just kind of
Just
soft.
creaminess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the bigger the chunk you get, the
Wow.
more sharpness builds up a little.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good melty cheese, right?
Wow.
This one, it's lighter, so we paired this with the Lake House White,
that's-
something a little more mild.
The Petite Blue Reserve overpowers this.
Yeah, and I always forget, and a lot of people forget, that we actually have a wine and cheese tasting that you can do when you come to Hermit Woods.
That's true. Yeah, anyone coming to do a tasting, we do have that option. If the host forgets to mention it, you ask about it.
Yeah.
It's a great, it's a great alternative, especially because sometimes a lot of people, they come in, they do want to do a wine tasting, but they're also thinking, I'm too hungry right now. I need to eat, and then I'll do a wine tasting.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people will order a whole board to have over at the wine tasting, but that's a lot.
Yeah. And
So they're having a small board with cheeses lined up with the wines.
just a little nibble is all you really
Mhm.
need. Actually, I've even seen some people use the great strategy. We always recommend if you come in as a couple, it's great if two people get a wine tasting because then you can cover everything on the menu as long as you're willing to share. And I
Mhm.
know sharing is hard, but we pour enough in our samples that you can each have a sip. And so what some people have done is one person will get the wine and cheese tasting, and the other person will get a regular tasting because there's a pretty sizable bite.
Yeah.
So then you get to taste all the wines and all the cheeses, and that works out pretty well.
Yeah, when Bob and Chuck and I were in South Africa tasting wines, we went to a place that had 4 little pieces of cheese that were paired up with 4 of their wine samples. And it was great. It was a great experience.
Yeah, because we know, like we put together those pairings to know that they work. And every time
I know, he was drinking wine and eating cheese all day long. I think
You have to do
that's
research,
almost right, Ken. I got to try this one.
just
Yeah,
testing,
hold
just
on.
testing.
What's on? What's open around here? All right.
Well, it's tough to. Well, sometimes we switch up the tasting menu and then we realize that the wine and cheese menu doesn't line up right, so we have to kind of readjust a little bit and come up with which wines pair with the cheeses.
We'll make it
They're
work.
good. But yeah, I think it starts off with the Lake House White with this Tilsit.
Yep.
Is the first juice on that list.
Good. Yep. Good.
Yeah, some of the pairings are just really good. And I mean, you do get a taste of it even if you do the regular tasting because you do the chocolate with the deep blue or the dessert wine is always paired with the chocolate, but it's nice to get the cheeses as well.
All right, we're doing a good job on this board.
We are.
Last but not least,
Cabernet from Fortuna, which we've had for a bit of time around here. So you probably had it before.
It's very different. It's drier.
mm-hmm. It's got kind of an olive note to it, like a green olive. Really nice. I like the dry character to the salami.
So I think it's the Vermont salumi. Is often very, 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 very dry. Like there's like holes in it sometimes. It's interesting. It's just, yeah, different style and texture. But some of those are really good. I feel like they had a couple of really unique ones too. Did they have a truffle? I'm trying to remember. No,
They did juniper.
the juniper. That's the one. Thank you, Travis. Yeah, that was very unique, but it was so good. I like that one. Yeah, I was saying, Fairview Winery in South Africa is where the wine and cheese
Fairview,
was.
that's right.
And it was 6
That was with the
cheeses
goats.
6 wines. Yep, same wine that does Goats Do Rome.
Mm-hmm. So when people come in and order a charcuterie board here, do they get how many cheeses, how many meats?
So you get 3 meats, 3 cheeses, 3 accompaniments. So it's pickles, olives, walnuts, and then 2 breads, 2 spreads, and then a spread that goes on either the brie or the willoughby.
Right.
So
Yeah. That's nice.
it's a good bit. It's a good bit of charcuterie right there.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
yeah, 3 spreads.
So, we've been talking about and trying to figure. I mean, I've been trying to make pickles. We tried to make pickles a few times, and sometimes they come out like a pickle. Sometimes they come out as a salty cucumber. So we want to do more in-house accompaniments than outsourcing them. So we've been in the back kind of
So stay tuned for that, huh?
trying things out. Once we get the brine right, then pickles will be fine. You know, pickling onions is easy enough. It's about getting that medley of vegetables that we get right from the farm and then putting them on the board.
That was one thing that we're sometimes getting the pickled vegetables from Beans and Greens or from
Maitland Farms.
Maitland Farms. Yeah, Maitland Farms. They pickled some more interesting things. Like you see pickled onions, pickled garlic, dilly beans are pretty common, or regular cucumbers, but they were doing pickled cauliflower and carrots and celery and peppers, and there was this whole medley of really interesting vegetables.
They were walking
really
out on their farm picking stuff and being like, all right, well, this has got to go.
So
why not? And it works.
In the bin.
Yeah.
I'm excited, as fun and wild as summer is, it'll be fun because over the winter we have a lot more time to experiment with these sorts of things and to start new projects and figure out how to do something like pickling our own pickles and then getting good at it, and then we can kind of scale up as spring hits. So maybe by next summer, it's always hard to introduce new things in summer because
in the middle of summer
we have only have so much bandwidth.
Right.
But it's winding down. Most people are going back to school this week. We've already lost a few staff, and things are changing.
It's going to quiet down a little bit. Good.
Still have about 8 minutes left. I'm wondering what we haven't covered. I guess we have those other crackers on the corner. Those have been sort of.
We have crackers, and you brought out 3 of
spreads.
your.
So I want to talk about those just as much.
So we got
I'm
spreads.
going to switch to
Spreads and breads.
camera.
Spreads and breads.
Spreads and breads.
All right. So we're going to switch to my computer camera.
We almost
so I can
tried that
hold
one
these up.
time, making
All right.
in-house bread and making a bunch of different spreads.
Here's Exhibit
Matt got that.
A.
It's going to dip
That's
onto the
mustard.
keyboard.
Sorry, at least this time it's my keyboard, not Bob's, so I won't get into much trouble. So we've got a few. Those are our 3 classics, right, that we use the most.
Yep.
So describe those 3 to us here, if you would.
So
Again.
on most of the boards that you'll get here, you'll get balsamic fig mostarda from
Which
Wallace.
is just such an amazing combination of materials. It's so unique, like, making a whole flatbread with it just stands out.
Yep. So, and that's on a flatbread and on charcuterie boards. The middle one is Thai hot pepper jam. It's a jelly. Yeah. And that is just, it's got it's just like that sweet heat that complements obviously the brie and the willoughby. And then this everyday mustard that goes, I think we have 2 sandwiches in the deli that use it, and we use it on all the boards. So
That's
Yeah,
the
it's
one
great
that's on
mustard.
the sort of, I feel like if we don't have it on the menu, there are things like the Bob's tomato or the Eli's panini
Mm-hmm.
that there are a few people that will know to ask for that are sort of, if we had secret menu items, that would be it. And I think the Eli's panini is just the triple ale onion spread from Waz,
Oh,
that
yeah, the
everyday
triple
cafe
ale.
mustard, and the Harmon's aged cheddar. And like, I think it was Deborah maybe that made the connection, realizing that every single ingredient on that menu item is a New Hampshire company, as is Eli himself, a New Hampshire native.
New
So that's a
Hampshire,
good New Hampshire sandwich. I love this. The Blackwater Mustard Company is fantastic. He doesn't have his own storefront, as far as I know. He just distributes to a lot of small places. But I feel like every store I go to that carries his mustard has a different lineup. He has so many different mustards and so many wonderful partnerships that he does. You know, he made a Hermit Woods heirloom crabapple mustard for a while. He's got one. He pairs with Tuckerman's Brewery. He pairs with Gould Hill to make their apple cider.
Oh,
The apple cider
great.
one.
Yep.
He's paired with different. The Everyday Cafe is it's a cafe in Kentucky, which is right close to where I grew up. And it's wonderful that he has so many wonderful local partnerships with different small businesses. And it would be great if we could carry every mustard, but there's so many that it's impossible.
So, I mean, whatever you don't get here, Picnic Rock has about 32 flavors as well. Because he has it right down the street too.
Yeah.
Whatever we don't have, he's probably got. He's
good.
got so many. Stephanie will go in there to pick up produce, and she'll be like, "Why don't we have this mustard?" And I'm like, "The shelf is full. Come back later."
Right. There's so many great varieties.
He's got
out there.
so many varieties. So
We're going through some rebranding efforts, photographs, as you well know. You're going to be in some of those photographs. Well, some of those photographs included Steve from the Mustard.
really,
So we've got a shot
There's
of
some fun
him
ones.
playing banjo in front of a bunch of different jars of mustard in his overalls. You know, he's just what a great character. He's such a great guy.
Yeah.
And he's where we get a lot of our rhubarb for
That's a new connection. I didn't
Lake House
realize.
White and other things.
Matt suggests simple Dijon with 2 tablespoons of red scare is a good combo. Red wine mustard. I feel like you hear about beer mustard all the time, but wine mustard is not something.
I don't know.
You could try
It definitely goes well with
it.
beer.
Oh, let's see.
Mustard and wine is a different
That's
sort of
right.
thing.
So we're gonna take a cracker. We're gonna take a little bit of mustard.
Yeah, that mustard's so good.
We're just gonna eat some mustard along with some potato.
yeah.
See how that goes.
So yeah, I mean, and charcuterie is what we were known for before I got here, and then I incorporated pizzas because Meredith is dying for pizza, and it's kind of a known joke from locals. I've lived here for 11 years that the Mobile had the best pizza
They did.
in the town,
Now you're talking past tense though.
right? So the Mobile had the best
They've had
pizza.
some changes. I think they're using different.
Now it's
different
Hermit
crust
Woods.
Now it's Hermit
Now it's
Woods,
Hermit
and it's
Woods.
all about getting
Right.
this out to the public. Everyone who comes in is a little bit is kind of surprised that wow, this pizza's
Can
good.
people order this to go?
Yeah.
If somebody in town that's working that wants something for lunch, they could order it up, or they want to take it home for dinner.
Yep.
They could call up and say, hey,
Yep. Yeah.
What's the turnaround time? 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah,
sort of thing?
15.
15 minutes.
Depends on how busy we are.
Yeah, depends on how busy we are.
They come in the
Sure.
middle of the day on a Saturday. It might be more than that.
It might be a little longer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
Fair enough.
It might be a little longer than that.
fair
So,
enough. But,
yeah.
oh, that's great. That's a whole nother option for people right in town here.
They are. Anyway, they're individual size. I guess. Yeah. If you eat the big pizza, you still go to some of the other places, and there's still some quality.
And
stuff
how
in
many
town.
varieties of pizzas do you have right now?
We have one. We're going to be obviously doing pizza of the week, which will put us up to 2.
Yep.
The fall menu is going to have 2 on it, and then we'll do a pizza of the week as well, so that'll be up to 3.
Wow.
And we still
Wow.
have 1 or 2 of the sort of non-flatbread
Yeah.
ones, right?
Yep. Yeah, we'll continue doing the non-flatbreads. The balsamic fig won't go anywhere, and then we'll come up with an idea for a non-flatbread as well.
Jack will have his way and put some kale out there somehow.
It's fun having Jack because Jack will come up with some fun ideas, and then I have to kind of bring him back. All right, Jack,
Sure. No, I think that's
It's having
part
fun.
of it. That's the creative process. You just
Yeah.
you throw stuff out there, and some of it's not going to work,
Right.
and but that's how you find that little twist that actually does work.
Yeah.
You know, you throw a little bit of blue cheese in here, and all of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
wow, that added this little tang that was missing before. There's too much oil or something, and that tang just lit it up.
Yep. So I mean, a lot of what we do in the limited downtime, but obviously in the winter we have more downtime when me and Steph get into creative mode, is that we try to figure out, like, you look at menus across like the area, and we try to be a little different than that.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So then we're doing things that are off the beaten path, are a little different. Just trying to be a step off of it so that we're different and that we're doing something a little bit more unique.
Great. Perfect.
You're doing unique with wine. We're going to try to do unique with food. So
Good. Perfect. Excellent. No, you're doing a great job. And we've got a great team here, and it's really people they love it. They come in, they're always sort of surprised. They don't really expect it. They're going to go in, yeah, it's another nice shop. Okay, we'll have some food, and then they come away going, wow, I've just never had cheese like this before. I've never had a pizza like this before. And that's perfect. That's what you're looking for.
Right.
You know, people go away and they're talking about it, and people come back in and try it.
The guy yesterday, I think it was, that came in on his own, and I think it was maybe his sister-in-law or someone had told him, "Oh, you're going to Meredith. You have to go to Hermit Woods and get the balsamic pizza." he came on his own specifically.
Right.
You know, it was kind of great. He almost was sort of apologizing for taking up a table on his own because we were so busy yesterday. I was like, no, that's great. It's wonderful that you're here. And he was there
And
just because of that
pizza?
one particular pizza. Oh, he loved it. And it was great. It was that type of thing. That's a fun thing to hear, that you were sent specifically for that. Though it was one, it's almost like I want to tell him, oh, well, that is a good pizza. You should have that pizza, but there's so many other things. Just come back again tomorrow.
You can come back tomorrow.
There's always great stuff. So that we have hit our 6:30.
Wow. All right.
Great. We'll have to. It's rare for us to get Travis here on camera. But,
I know.
But it's always
great.
a pleasure when we get
Thank
him
you so
joining.
much, Travis, for
think-
rallying forth. This Marika and I kind of,
wing things
came to him this
up.
afternoon and said, "No, doing something tonight with us." And
But I'm sure
that
we're
worked
going to
out
have
great.
to have you back again in the next few weeks, because I know you've got some fall menu
ooh,
exciting
some new releases.
things on
Yeah,
up your sleeves.
that'd be fun to do.
Very clean chef sleeves. So we'll have to get him back.
Don't do it
in the
next
future.
week. I won't be here next week.
So you're gone next week. I'm gone the week after.
Oh, that's right.
So
Wow.
we'll see.
Skip 'em.
We'll see in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks for the
did
fall
hear,
release.
so earlier today, I was excited to hear one or two of our staff were saying, I'll be on Facebook Live.
Oh,
Which is
good.
great, because last winter we were trying to get staff on for an interview and nobody was
Good.
really.
Let's
we
get
convinced a
the
few.
team up here.
But
We
I
have
think we
such a
should-
great team.
We've got a really great team right now, and I think it would be fun to introduce them to the Facebook Live audience. And,
Yeah.
many of you, I'm sure, met our fantastic group of people,
Right.
but it'd be
And
great to
that's
get
sort
some
of-
interviews.
What people's experiences when they come in here. They don't necessarily meet you or me or Marika even. They meet one of our other staff. So
Yep.
it'd be great to have them.
Yeah, so we'll have that maybe another week.
It's good.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. We will
Thanks,
see you
everyone.
next week. I need to find out how to do this.
That's it.
Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Everything's empty.